hope you guys are having a good start to the weekend. Got a lot to talk about, a lot to happen in the last 12 hours, so we're just going to go into it straight away. Well, for one, we have severe weather on the rise once more. We were talking about the opportunity for this unfolding in our long range forecast. The video card will be right here in the right hand corner, but now we have added a slight risk for the 4th, of course. Not surprising. Mentioned that in the last video too. Card will be on the right. Help those videos out. So we're gonna go in. We're gonna get a little bit more in depth with that, and then there's even some stuff going on in the tropics. We have a spin up storm that has formed off of the Carolina coast here, and now it is Tropical Storm Colin. But getting a little too ahead of ourselves here. Let's get into what we have today. So we have a marginal risk here now that's towards Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. It's a relatively small strip of an area. So the main big city that I see involved here is the city of Pendleton in Oregon. So not a whole lot going there. It seems more like a wind and hail threat more than anything. Tornado threat is minimal. When we get to the slight risk regions, we're talking about the Dakotas, we're talking about Montana, and we're talking about a tiny little piece of Wyoming. Rapid City, Pierre, Bismarck, and just to the east of Glasgow, you might have to be a little bit more prepared for the damaging wind and hail threat. And then we have a little swath right here in the East Coast where there's severe weather possible. We mentioned this yesterday, right around the Delmarva region, leading all the way up towards Long Island. You guys could be in line for some strong storms as well. And this marginal risk stretches all the way from the southern and central plains, all the way through the Tennessee Valley and into Kentucky. Even parts of the Ohio Valley could be in play. Again, main threat is wind and hail. We go to day 2, and our slight risk region has also grown. So we have now the Dakotas. We have Nebraska in play as well. We have Montana and parts of Wyoming again. Similar threat setup, though the tornado threat has started to go on the increase here. We have a 2% chance. Still not a high chance, but you can't rule out a spin up for sure now. Wind threat, nothing surprising there. It's the main hazard here, and then our hail threat. It's right up there with it. And then we mentioned a marginal risk for the Carolinas and parts of the Virginia coastline. This is associated with Colin. This will partially have a tornado. I think that they may very well put a 2% tornado threat up by either tonight or tomorrow for this region here. And then, of course, we're finally starting to get an unveiling here of what the schedule of. We finally are starting to get an unveiling here of what the forecast could look like on the 4th. I'll go a lot more in depth tomorrow night in a video about that forecast. But today we're going over the severe weather areas only, and we have a slight risk for, once again, the same areas: the Dakotas, Montana, and it looks like this time, maybe, just maybe, that Wyoming, all parts of Wyoming this time will be spared, although it looks like there is a marginal risk. But we have our marginal risk stretches all the way from, Montana into the Great Lakes region, includes areas like Detroit, Michigan, Chicago, Illinois, and it stretches all the way back towards our slight risk region. Right now, the hazards seem unclear, but most likely it's going to be a one threat. Slightly increased tornado threat, not very much to talk about there. We'll hash out those details more as we get more info available. Now, let's talk about the other elephant in the room, and that's Tropical Storm Colin. This formed up at the 5 a.m. advisory. This thing kind of formed up. It's like a fourth quarter type storm. I was honestly originally thinking that this wouldn't have formed at all, but lo and behold, here we are. I'm gonna actually try to see if I can get a better update on this. Okay, so this is the 11 o'clock advisor here now, and lo and behold, we have a full blown tropical storm here with a with 40-mile-per-hour winds and a low pressure of 1,012 millibars moving northeast at 7 miles an hour. Kind of flirting with land, I guess you could say it's making landfall now. But this will quickly go back out to sea, and as a result, I do think that this will cause a little bit of severe weather because it's almost like it's brushing the coast, but it's not. It's almost kind of like it's going to be interacting with land. And the thing with tropical cyclones when they interact with land is wind shear develops on this right front quadrant. So as this thing moves along, and moves off to the northeast, right around this region here is where I'll be watching for the potential development of some spin up tornadoes. And then here we are, we can see Bonnie now moving to the East Pacific at 14 miles an hour. It's a 40-mile-per-hour storm with 1,002 millibars. This is an interesting situation too, because nobody really expected her to be so weak, and nobody expected Bonnie to go as fast as she did. But it will be going out to the East Pacific, and I wonder if it'll end up changing names, because there's a whole different list of names for the Eastern Pacific. Very interesting scenario here, and I look forward to finding out more about that. Surely I hope everyone here is okay. This did cause a fair amount of heavy rainfall and some flooding. For the most part, I don't think there was nothing super bad about this. I could be wrong because I don't get the same kind of reports from Central and Southern America versus the lower 48. Since we're here, we might as well also talk about this our Invest 94E. Or no, that's Pacific. Excuse me. We'll be talking about this little tropical disturbance here. 10% chance of development. Very disorganized. I don't think it's honestly going to make it. It has to do something. I think it needs to shake a leg and do it fast if it does. Let's go over the path of Colin real quick, and we'll go from there. Take a look at the cone first, then we'll look at the flash flood potential, wind history, and all the other bells and whistles there. So here's where Colin is right now. It's in the northern coast of South Carolina. Like I said, it's gonna most likely be brushing along the coastline here, working its way a little bit further inland towards maybe the Cape Hatteras region, and that's our area of great concern for potential severe weather, maybe even a tornado threat slightly. Gusty winds are definitely going to be the main story with this as well. But this is quickly going to move offshore by Sunday, so this will be out of here in time for the 4th for you guys. This storm isn't very impressive, so I don't expect it to last long. Once it goes back out in the sea, I see this thing probably coming apart quickly. So let's look at the wind speed probabilities real quick. And this is where our center of circulation is. And on this right front quadrant is definitely going to be where the strongest winds are. The strongest winds might make it inland, but it's going to stay offshore. The highest probabilities are going to be offshore. And they're most likely going to be towards the northern coast of South Carolina and the southern coast of North Carolina. Kind of throws you off a little bit, but quickly this is going to weaken and move out to sea, and these winds will quickly go away. This isn't going to be a very big windstorm. The wind field is very small because it's a very small storm. Never really had a chance to organize, which is a good thing. But this also just goes to show how quickly things tend to escalate here. So the main flood threat is going to be pretty much from Wilmington through Charleston and Savannah. Savannah and Charleston, you mean they're going to get stuff on the backside, and I think your biggest rain threat is going to be earlier in the day and into the afternoon. More towards, I'd say, tomorrow. That's when Wilmington, you guys get involved. Maybe Raleigh and Durham get a little bit of storms, but maybe Raleigh, Durham, and Charlotte get a little bit of something, but you guys aren't well into that flood threat. But really, for the entire southeast, this is going to kind of trigger a few more thunderstorms. So we'll look at the rainfall potential real quick, and then after that, we'll go ahead and look at the forecast for the next couple of days for severe weather. For the most part, the heaviest of the rain still seems like it's going to be off coast. We'll look at this again tomorrow night or tomorrow, depending on how things evolve. But as of right now, the worst of the rain seems like it's going to stay off coast and maybe hit Wilmington at the worst in the Hatteras region. So now we're going to go ahead and take a quick look at what the radar could look like over the next couple of days. And we'll start out with the HRRR. And of course, as I mentioned, towards the southeast, pop-up development likely. And then off the coastal Carolinas is where our tropical storm Colin is. And then throughout the day today, we'll have to be watching northeast. There's a little sneaky low pressure right there. May trigger a little bit of storms towards the latter half of the evening. And the same can be said for the Great Plains region. Towards the overnight, though, all the activity is going to start to die down, except for Colin. And then towards Sunday, about a full day out from now, and we'll watch Colin move away from Cape Hatteras and out to sea. And then meanwhile, here comes our next low pressure. Next catalyst for storms around the Central Plains. This computer will work with me here. Uh-oh. Does that a lot. And towards the late evening hours, that's when we'll see more storms around the Dakotas and Nebraska. Nothing really impressive on radar from what I can see here, so it's a very limited severe threat. And then once we get into Monday, I would say early Monday morning, MCS comes through, and then we'll have to watch the afternoon for the next group of storms. Take a quick look at the mixed layer cape, see how these winds would potentially mix down to the surface, how much energy is available with that as well, with these storms as well. Shouldn't be a surprise here that we would see a lot of cape towards the south and east. Don't worry. For the most part, you shouldn't expect severe weather down here, just some pop-up thunderstorms. Maybe something strong here and there, but not an organized severe weather event of any kind. We'll move this along, and here's where our cape is starting to go into the north and east, and not into the north and east, but towards the northern plains. And it really starts to ramp up by late tomorrow afternoon into the evening. So we're getting some pretty good values. We're getting towards 2,000 and 2,500 towards the end of Sunday night. So we'll have to watch that real close. Damaging wind threat is definitely there. Tornado threat seems minimal. We'll even go as far as to take a look at the above ground level cape just for good measure, for anyone who might be wondering. I don't expect to see very impressive numbers from this. Most impressive numbers are going to be pretty much to the south and east, but conditions are not favorable here anyway. Look at that. See what I mean? There's not really much to work with here as far as the surface cape. When you're looking for tornadic activity, you're looking for a lot more going on at the surface. When you're looking for damaging winds, you want to go for you want to start looking towards things that are more mixed, so to speak. So that's pretty much all it is out there in black and white, and that's all I got for you on this video. If you enjoyed, drop a like, leave a comment, share the video. I kind of thought up this goal because originally I didn't even think we would get as far as we did on this channel so far, which I also want to say thank you for that. But a goal this year is going to be 50 subs. We're 11 subs away, so it's definitely doable. I mean, it'd be cool if we get to 100, but this is such a new channel, and there's still a lot that I gotta do to help improve it. So, 50 would be cool. I'll take that for now. I'll do what I can to improve the channel, but hey, until then, I appreciate all of you that watch and have subbed and so on and so forth. But this is Tyler Metalhead Weatherman, and I will see you in tomorrow night's video for sure.